Paul Bilal Williams has produced a post titled, How Women Are Saved According to the New Testament, where he quotes 4 different English translations of 1 Timothy 2 verse 15 to give the impression that the New Testament teaches that women are saved, or granted everlasting life, by bearing children, provided they continue in faith, love, and holiness with self-control. In this post we would like to return the favor by highlighting one specific Quranic verse which highlights Muhammad's view of women. We will then proceed to reference a few ahadith and commentaries which further illuminate Islam's view of women in general.
Quran 4:34, Men shall take full care of women with the bounties which God has bestowed more abundantly on the former than on the latter, and with what they may spend out of their possessions. And the righteous women are the truly devout ones, who guard the intimacy which God has ordained to be guarded. And as for those women whose ill will you have reason to fear, admonish them first, then leave them alone in bed, then beat them, and if thereupon they pay you heed, do not seek to harm them. Behold, God is indeed most high, great. Sahih al-Bukhari, Volume 7, Number 715, narrated Ikrimah, Rifa divorced his wife whereupon Abdurrahman bin Azubair al-Quratzi married her. Aisha said that the lady came, wearing a green veil, and complained to her of her husband and showed her a green spot on her skin caused by beating. It was the habit of ladies to support each other, so when Allah's apostle came, Aisha said, I have not seen any woman suffering as much as the believing women. Look! Her skin is greener than her clothes. When Abdurrahman heard that his wife had gone to the Prophet, he came with his 2 sons from another wife. She said, By Allah! I have done no wrong to him, but he is impotent and is as useless to me as this. Holding and showing the fringe of her garment, Abdurrahman said, By Allah, O Allah's apostle! She has told a lie. I am very strong and can satisfy her, but she is disobedient and wants to go back to Rifa. Allah's apostle said to her, If that is your intention, then know that it is unlawful for you to remarry Rifa unless Abdurrahman has had sexual intercourse with you. Then the Prophet saw 2 boys with Abdurrahman and asked him, Are these your sons? On that, Abdurrahman said, Yes. The Prophet said, You claim what you claim, that he is impotent? But by Allah, these boys resemble him as a crow resembles a crow. Sahih Muslim, Book 4, Number 2127, Muhammad b. Kays said, To the people should I not narrate to you, a hadith of the Holy Prophet, on my authority and on the authority of my mother? We thought that he meant the mother who had given him birth. He, Muhammad b. Kays, then reported that it was Aisha who had narrated this. Should I not narrate to you about myself and about the Messenger of Allah? We said, Yes. She said, When it was my turn for Allah's Messenger to spend the night with me, he turned his side, put on his mantle and took off his shoes and placed them near his feet, and spread the corner of his shawl on his bed and then lay down till he thought that I had gone to sleep. He took hold of his mantle slowly and put on the shoes slowly, and opened the door and went out and then closed it lightly. I covered my head, put on my veil and tightened my waist wrapper, and then went out following his steps till he reached Baki. He stood there and he stood for a long time. He then lifted his hands 3 times, and then returned and I also returned. He hastened his steps and I also hastened my steps. He ran and I too ran. He came to the house, and I also came to the house. I, however, preceded him and I entered the house, and as I lay down in the bed, he, the Prophet, entered the house, and said, Why is it, O Aisha, that you are out of breath? I said, There is nothing. He said, Tell me, or the subtle and the aware would inform me. I said, Messenger of Allah, may my father and mother be ransom for you, and then I told him the whole story. He said, Was it the darkness of your shadow that I saw in front of me? I said, Yes. He struck me on the chest, which caused me pain, and then said, Did you think that Allah and his apostle would deal unjustly with you? She said, Whatsoever the people conceal, Allah will know it. He said, Gabriel came to me when you saw me. He called me and he concealed it from you. I responded to his call, but I too concealed it from you, for he did not come to you, as you were not fully dressed. I thought that you had gone to sleep, and I did not like to awaken you, fearing that you may be frightened. He, Gabriel, said, Your Lord has commanded you to go to the inhabitants of Baki, to those lying in the graves, and beg pardon for them. I said, Messenger of Allah, how should I pray for them, how should I beg forgiveness for them? He said, Say, Peace be upon the inhabitants of this city, graveyard, from among the believers and the Muslims, and may Allah have mercy on those who have gone ahead of us, and those who come later on, and we shall, God willing, join you. Sunan Abu Dawud, Book 11, number 2141, narrated Abdullah ibn Abu Dubab, Is ibn Abdullah ibn Abu Dubab reported the Apostle of Allah as saying, Do not beat Allah's handmaidens, but when Umar came to the Apostle of Allah and said, Women have become emboldened towards their husbands, he, the Prophet, gave permission to beat them. Then many women came round the family of the Apostle of Allah complaining against their husbands. So the Apostle of Allah said, Many women have gone round Muhammad's family complaining against their husbands. They are not the best among you. Sahih al-Bukhari, Volume 1, Book 6, number 301, narrated Abu Said al-Khudri, Once Allah's Apostle went out to the Musalla, to offer the prayer, on Eid al-Adha or al-Fitr prayer. Then he passed by the women and said, O women! Give alms, as I have seen that the majority of the dwellers of hellfire were you, women. They asked, Why is it so, O Allah's Apostle? He replied, You curse frequently and are ungrateful to your husbands. I have not seen anyone more deficient in intelligence and religion than you. A cautious sensible man could be led astray by some of you. The women asked, O Allah's Apostle, what is deficient in our intelligence and religion? He said, Is not the evidence 2 women equal to the witness of 1 man? They replied in the affirmative. He said, This is the deficiency in her intelligence. Isn't it true that a woman can neither pray nor fast during her menses? The women replied in the affirmative. He said, This is the deficiency in her religion. Tafsir al-Jalalain on Quran 4:34, Men are in charge of, they have authority over, women, disciplining them and keeping them in check, because of that with which God has preferred the one over the other, that is, because God has given them the advantage over women, in knowledge, reason, authority and otherwise, and because of what they expend, on them, the women, of their property. Therefore righteous women, among them, are obedient, to their husbands, guarding in the unseen, that is, guarding, their private parts and otherwise during their spouse's absence, because of what God has guarded, for them, when he enjoined their male spouses to look after them well. And those you fear may be rebellious, disobedient to you, when such signs appear, admonish them, make them fear God, and share not beds with them, retire to other beds if they manifest such disobedience, and strike them, but not violently, if they refuse to desist, from their rebellion, after leaving them, in separate beds. If they then obey you, in what is desired from them, do not seek a way against them, a reason to strike them unjustly. God is ever high, great, so beware of him, lest he punish you for treating them unjustly. Tafsir Ibn Abbas on Quran 4:34, Men are in charge of women, they are in charge of overseeing the proper conduct of women, because Allah hath made the one of them, the men through reason and the division of booty in estates, to excel the other, the women, and because they spend of their property, for the support of women, through paying the dowry and spending on them, which the women are not required to do. So good women, he says, those wives who are kind to their husbands, are the obedient, they are obedient to Allah regarding their husbands, guarding their own persons and the wealth of their husbands, in secret, when their husbands are not present, that which Allah hath guarded, through Allah's protection of them in that he gave them the success to do so. As for those from whom ye fear, no, rebellion, their disobedience to you in bed, admonish them, by means of sacred knowledge and the Quran, and banish them to beds apart, turn your faces away from them in bed, and scourge them, in a mild, unexaggerated manner. Then if they obey you, in bed, seek not a way against them, as regards love. Lo! Allah is ever high exalted, above every single thing, great, greater than every single thing. Allah has not burdened you with that which you cannot bear, so do not burden women with that which they cannot bear of affection.